Welcome back to Across Louisiana. Well, you've heard of outer space, but have you ever heard of makerspace? You can find it at the East Baton Rouge Parish Library. And here to explain that and tell us more is Michael Brandyberry. Welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you?
Makerspace, I love the sound of that already since you were the Makerspace Technology Engineer. So tell the folks what that is.
Basically, my job consists of researching technologies and hobbies that can fit with the library for their upcoming makerspace. We're going to install one in the River Center Library, and at the moment we're running a bunch of pop-up makerspaces. And what that is essentially a hobby area for just about anything. You can do 3D printing, you can create robotics, you can even crochet. The idea is we make the space available and some of the tools and equipment so people can use them.
It's kind of an emerging area, definitely an interesting one that you're starting to see, more and more about, and you're even having a Maker Faire, right? Tell me about that.
We're doing a Maker Faire on September 20th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and it's basically a celebration for anybody that has a hobby that wants to show off. If you make pickles, if you make robots, if you make drones, this is a place for you to come, showcase what you do to an appreciative audience that will see and hopefully get their own ideas and then come utilize the library's resources to do it themselves.
Absolutely. So it's a place for people to take that creativity that we have here in the Baton Rouge area and really put it on display and showcase that, right?
Yes, we're going to have a variety of exhibitors, everything from, as I said, the 3D printing all the way to people that do woodworking, build models. We have people that do cosplay. It's going to be all kinds of things. Anything that's creative and ends up with you producing something, we want you to come out and do it.
I wanted to touch on that. You briefly mentioned the 3D printing, which is a fascinating area to me and one that is also sort of emerging that a lot of folks maybe aren't familiar with. So tell us a little bit more about that.
3D printing essentially uses plastic or other materials, in our case it's plastic, to take a 3D model that you've designed from the computer and make it into reality. Some of these here started out as a 3D dimensional object that was then made real using ABS plastic. Basically takes filament, it looks like a giant spool of fishing line,
right,
feeds it into a hot end, which comes out sort of like a glue gun. The 3D printer circuitry itself decides where to move that hot end to build up the layers to get the final object.
And I mean, as you can see here, these are some really complex and detailed things that this thing is capable of creating. It's really pretty amazing.
Oh yeah, we get a lot of press for it. Patrons are able to submit their own designs and we print them for them for just a nominal cost. The only drawback I would say is it's not quite ready for everybody yet because the machines do require a lot of maintenance to keep them going and it is still very slow. Like this fish was about 18 hours to print it.
Wow.
At the end of the day it probably cost about $20 in material. But if you have a one-off idea and you're dying to see if it'll work in real life, this is the best and easiest way for somebody to do it.
And I think a lot of people might not realize that that's something that the library provides. I mean, it's somewhere, aside just from the 3D printing, I mean, it's just somewhere where you have, both resources in terms of online and in tech, right?
Sure. We already offer a class on learning how to use some of the 3D programs to design your own objects, and in not too long, we're going to come up with a 3D printer class where people are actually going to be able to interact with the machine itself and learn how it works, learn how to set it up, take it down, use it, sometimes repair it, and make their own objects.
So far in your experience with that, what is the most amazing or mind-blowing thing that you've seen that resulted from the 3D printer?
What I like the best is when I don't actually know what the designs are. I'll have a user submission and it'll clearly be something. It'll be a flywheel or a gear set that has been very carefully designed and we have no notes as to what they are. We make it, we get a hey thanks for doing that, and then maybe a couple weeks later the guy comes in with a different design for another piece of whatever. I really want to ask him, but I also enjoy.
So it's really kind of a mystery to you too.
Oh yes,
then, right?
We've had people print drone bodies, we've had people do cases for their cell phones, we've had more mechanical objects, and of course some of the kids just want, a TIE fighter, Darth Vader, or just a bracelet.
Obviously it's a big year for the library, it's 75th anniversary. Tell the folks where they could go to find out more about the many things the library has to offer.
If you want to go to the Maker Faire, you can go to Maker Faire or BatonRougeMakerFaire.com, or you can go to ebrpl.com for more information.
Fantastic. Michael, thanks so much for coming on and telling us all about it. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of Across Louisiana. I'd like to thank all of our guests for joining us today, and thank you for joining us as well. Keep it tuned right here to Cox 4 for that high school football action coming up, and have a great weekend, everyone.